in today's edition of the program Asakhe Online, a program that explores issues that are happening in development as far as education, agriculture, mining, human rights, and other developmentally related issues are concerned. Once again, your presenter today is Bakidzanani Dube, as usual. And today we are going to explore the second edition of the program that explores issues that are happening as far as HOCIC is concerned. Remember, last week we had an overview of HOCIC, what HOCIC is, what it does in the communities, as well as a few programs it does. This today we are exploring more programs that the organization does in communities. We are going to look at a program that the organization does in Matopo district, and then we are going to proceed to have a look at a program that the organization implements in Umguza district. You are going to get more of these programs as the program rolls on today. Let's keep in touch.
Hello everyone, my name is Thomas.
Thelma, briefly take us through the access to sanitary ware program that you are leading.
Okay. The long and short of it is we would like to keep the girl child in school. Because from the research conducted in Matopo district, it was noted that due to the exorbitant prices of sanitary ware in our country, most girls cannot afford to buy decent sanitary ware that they can use on a monthly basis. So because of that, you find that there's a lot of girls that miss school during their menstrual period days every month. So you find that a girl misses about 5 days a month of school. That constitutes 15 days a term and about 45 days a year. That means that they're missing out on a lot of schoolwork. So what our project aims to do is to provide young girls between the ages of 10 and 24 with sanitary ware. That's also safe to use. So our main focus is disposable sanitary ware and reusable sanitary ware so that they can stay in school and also avoid vaginal infections that could later on cause cervical cancer.
So looking at the disposable and reusable, can you take us through how you come up with these disposables and especially the reusables?
Okay, so our project is fairly new. We started in November 2018 and it's funded by crowdfunding on Global Giving. So our first distribution of sanitary ware was in beginning of November 2018. So we managed to procure sanitary ware and distribute it to about 200 girls in the district. After that distribution, we noted that it was not a sustainable solution in the sense that we would go that 1 month and give them about 2 packets. And for some, the 2 packets were not even enough. And that would mean that the problem reemerges again in December, January, and so forth. So after that, we looked into a more sustainable solution, which was reusable pads. But also because our project doesn't have a lot of funding and so on, so we decided to make it sort of a skills thingy. So the young girls also acquire skills. A skill that they can use later on in their lives. So we get material, we have people that were trained in how to sew, and we go to the district and we train young girls and caregivers of young girls on how to make sanitary ware that they can use. So in that sense, we feel we are creating a more sustainable solution, and to date we've trained 40 young girls that have also gone on to train more girls in their school, so which means that they're also cascading the skill to others. And we've also trained 20 caregivers in the district that are also training others. So we feel that reusable pads are a much more sustainable solution than the disposable. But we're also not shying away from disposable pads. If and when we manage to distribute whatever we can, because our main goal is to provide as much sanitary wear to as much girls in the district.
So earlier on, you mentioned that sometimes girls usually miss school because they do not have enough sanitary wear, which makes them shy away from such public environment.
Yes.
Maybe also while we are still there, we look at the fact that maybe in rural areas sometimes the boy child usually has some of these attitudes, especially towards the girl child during her menstrual period. From your observation as an organization, as a programs coordinator looking at program, what can you say in the attitude of the boy child in that district towards the girl child, especially during her menstrual period, and how has that affected the girl child?
I think boys tend to tease girls a lot during their menstrual period. And I think in general, boys don't understand what's happening to girls. So they just tease them. Like, I'll give you an example. One girl says a boy said to him, so in turn, that makes a girl shy away from even going to school. Noma allow, I'm a pet, because they now feel like noma ngingakhanyi but ngiyabonakala. And I think it's also, should I say, a societal value that is there. You'll find women are said to be dirty whilst they're on their menstrual period. We were socialized like that. So I think it affects the girl child immensely, because abanye, they don't go to school at all when they're on their periods. Abafuna ukuba sebantwini, because they feel like bayahlewa, bayangiswa, bangcolile. I'll tell you even a funny story. Recently, when I was speaking to some of the girls in the district, they were saying that they've been taught by Okoko Babu, you can't even go to church. You are too dirty to be in holy. That's how bad it is. And all of that kills the self-esteem and then affects them, and also affecting their education at the end of the day, because you find those days when they're going to school, they are not concentrating because of all of those other things that they're experiencing. So we are also not only looking at providing the actual sanitary wear, but also confidence building, also talking to the boy child, making them understand what menstruation is a normal thing, it's a natural thing, it's what women go through. There's nothing funny about it, there's nothing disgusting about it, and there's nothing to be ashamed of as a girl child. So we're not only doing trainings on the reusable pads, but we're also trying to talk to both the girl and the boy child to make them understand what happens at that time and how they should be kinder to each other.
So looking at really that some of such attitudes are especially cultivated by society, what then will be your message to such societies that are still cultivating such attitudes towards the girl child, especially when she is in her menstrual period?
I think society as a whole should socialize both girls and boys in the same way. What do I mean by that? I'm saying boys should also know abonumuntu enkazana goes through this, that. It's normal. It's okay. After all, that's where we all come from. So imagine if women didn't go on their periods, would they really have kids, and where would we all come from? So I think as society as a whole, we need to appreciate and understand each other. Men should understand women go through such. And in turn, also as women, there's things that we need to understand that men do. So I think society as a whole should stop looking at each other from different angles as males and females, but we should all look at each other, understand each other, embrace each other. I believe it would be a much more friendlier world, trust me, because a lot of things happen. Men say a lot of mean things, then women also act very mean, and it all comes from the fact that we don't really understand each other. We don't take time to understand each other. Like women, we go through PMS that leads to mood swings, and it's really normal, but then men don't understand that because they don't fully understand. So I think socializing, even kids from a very young age, which this is what happens, the body changes like this, the body changes like that. I think it would also create a much more positive environment for the girl child.
So, so far, looking at the progress that you have made in Matopo, how are these boys reacting? What is their attitude so far ever since you got there as an organization with that program?
In all honesty, I think we haven't made much progress when it comes to the boy child. Because one school that we frequent is Mauheche Secondary School. I feel there's still more that needs to be done. Because even when we arrive, like they now know us, the boys already start running away. Because we usually like go after school. So we ask for like an hour after school. So, and then you'll be there like, no, they'll be like, hi, I sense this into Zabafaz and stuff. But a few I think a few curious ones come because but in all honesty, we haven't really managed to get through to them. We haven't really managed to get the point across. And I think we still have a lot of work to do with regards to that. So we'll venture into other fun ways of them learning, maybe have sports galas where they can all come and play games and stuff. And then from there, then we can try and send out the messages that we're trying to send to recreate my attitudes, reshape their thinking when it comes to things like menstruation.
Okay, so maybe just a round up of some of the challenges that this program has faced and how you wish they can be mitigated, especially going onwards.
I think one challenge that we face are attitudes. Like I said, like I think you also pointed that out, Owoti. It's really difficult to get, like we went to a school, you know, getting the male teachers to actually be like, no, it's okay, you guys can do this, and also getting buy-in from the locals, the male locals, and even, but it's easier with women because they understand these struggles, so that's okay. So I think that's the main challenge that we face. Owoti, you know, people find it so hard to speak about menstruation. Even the girls that should be training themselves, it's a bit of a challenge to get through to them, to get them to tell you about their experiences, or even simply, like for example, maybe after they've made the pads, for them to tell you what it's hard. And I think that's a main challenge within society. Women find it hard to speak about their menstrual challenges and maybe possible solutions that they think can come. Tomorrow, the 28th of May, is International Menstrual Health Day. The aim of the Health Day is to raise awareness on problems that affect women when it comes to menstrual health, menstruation and stuff. So I think it's also an opportunity to encourage all women and young girls out there to speak out about the challenges that they face. Even it's important to share such challenges with your kids and stuff so as to make their lives much more comfortable. You find out even when young girls start their menstruation, it's hard for them this has happened, because sometimes they don't understand what's happening with their bodies. They feel like maybe there's something wrong, that's why this is now happening. But as people, if we were to be more open, let's say for example, I have sisters, little sisters, I explain to them, you know, at such an age, I went through this, these are the challenges I faced, the possible solutions. So allow if you had to ever go through something like this. I think those are all things that should happen in order to mitigate against certain challenges.
Mm-hmm. So some of the successes and maybe your future plan going onward?
Okay, like I said, so far we've managed to train 40 girls, 40 young girls at my age of primary school. I think so far that has been our biggest success because we did that training in February. I think it was on the 23rd of February. And we've gone back to, about 3 times after that to monitor the progress. So initially on the day, each of the girls had made one pad each. And then we left the other materials for them. And we had a teacher that was nice and coordinate the whole thing. We shared a session with them about 2 times a week where they saw the pad. And I think about 65% of the girls that they received that training are now using those pads. And some have went on to say their families were actually struggling to be able to buy them pads every single month. But those pads have created a solution to that problem, because a lot of people, they are not employed. A lot of people find it hard to make ends meet. So such things also reduce with their monthly budget, also help Umntwana to be more confident, to know I have this that I can use every month. And they're also trained on how to take care of them. So that also means they are safeguarded against infections and stuff. So in future, we're planning to go on with that, and we are hoping that we can get more funding so as to be able to actually purchase the actual pads, because the actual reusable pads that are made in India and so forth, that last way longer than the ones that are made, because those are said to last about 5 years. So that would really, really create a more sustainable solution, because imagine if the girl child can get about 4 of those that can last them 5 years, that becomes a win-win for everyone. So those are our future plans, to continue with what we're doing, increase our reach.
So maybe as you can actually take the girl child and everyone else through how to preserve and to disinfect the reusable pad.
Well, that's a very important component of the reusable pads. The reusable pads should be washed after every single use. Uba washed with clean water. Like usually we use white cloth on the top to ensure that after you've washed it, it's properly disinfected and there's nothing else. And it should not be hung out to dry in the shade or at home. You know how we've been socialized. But then when it's hung out in a place where there's no sun, it means it's going to be damp, then it's going to breed bacteria and other things. So we always encourage, in fact, we always say it should be hung out in the sun, like under direct sunlight, damp. And it also, we usually make sure we teach them to have a little bag where they can be kept inside and kept separately, the clean ones separately and the dirty ones separately, so as to ensure there's no bacteria there that could lead to any infections.
So there are 2 groups here issue to address. The girls themselves, especially, as well as the person who will see the pads being hung out in the open to dry. Maybe could you please speak to their attitudes?
I think firstly I'll speak to the person that would see the pads being hung out to dry. Brothers, fathers, uncles, let's be supportive. Let's understand that this is a natural process. There's nothing wrong that a woman does for them to get periods. It's very natural. There's nothing to laugh about. There's nothing to shame about. So don't see a pad and say, well, obviously it's going to be a clean pad when it's now hung. There's nothing that you should complain about. There's nothing to laugh about. You need to understand and be supportive, because the moment you shame, the moment you laugh, you are killing someone's self-esteem. You are killing their confidence. Next time, and it's going to breed germs and bacteria. That's going to later create a health problem for her. So try and be very nice. The world would be a nicer place if we would all to be kinder to each other, understand each other. And for the girl child also, remember that it's natural. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing that you do. It's actually of the process that makes us women. Like I said earlier, imagine if we didn't get our periods, we all wouldn't be here. There wouldn't be presidents and stuff. So understand what it's natural. Just learn to take care of yourself. Bath, use clean sanitary way, take care of your sanitary way so that you can always be a person of high self-esteem and confidence.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We are still at HOCIC, and with me here I have Mr. Pepe, one of the program officers of HOCIC. Welcome to today's program, Asakhe.
Thank you very much.
Introduce yourself and tell us about the program that you lead.
Okay, like you said, I'm Hubert Bebe. I am the focal person for the thematic area livelihoods and food security, and I am leading a program called the Linc Season Assistance Program, which we are running in Umkuza district. We have also just completed a food assistance for assets program in Matogo district as well. So those are the two programs that I'm leading at HOCIC.
So tell us in detail, how is the Lean program, how is this program going on?
The Lean Season Assistance Program is a program that is rolled out by the World Food Program, where we are assisting the chronic food insecure households in the district. We all know that there was a drought during the 2017-2018 planting season or agricultural season. And so after the ZIMVAC assessment, it was noted that 47% of the district of Umkuza was food insecure. But as the program went on, it was then realized that the food insecurity levels were increasing as we went towards the peak hunger period, which is the period between January and March. So ZIMVAC again had an assessment in January, where it was then reported that the food insecurity levels of Umkuza district had risen from that 47% that I'd alluded to about 64%. Through partnership with USAID and WFP, we as the implementing partner, HOCIC, we've been working in Umkuza district, and we have been providing in-kind support to about 20,187 beneficiaries in Umkuza district, where we provide on a monthly basis 10 kgs of cereal, 1.5 kgs of pulses, and 0.75 kgs of vegetable oil to those 20,187 beneficiaries.
So having said that, take us through the characteristics of the person who qualifies for the Lean Season Assistance Food Program, as well as the process through which you reach up to the selection of those people who qualify for the assistance.
Yes, like I said before, our percentages are guided by the ZIMVAC assessment that is conducted on a yearly basis. And so initially it was the 47% of Umkuza district who were said to be food insecure. After we've received that information, we then have we have a district drought relief committee meeting with stakeholders, with councillors, with local leadership, the DA's office, social services department, and other interested parties, be it other NGOs who work in the district, where we then select the wards which are more vulnerable than the others. I'm sure that you know Umkuza has got some peri-urban wards, for example, Ward 7, which has got Montgomery, which is a peri-urban area. Nyamandlovu also has a peri-urban area. And Ward 1, Hope Fountain also has a peri-urban area. So we then look at the livelihoods activities conducted in those areas, and we select wards based on what the amount of food that has been harvested the last month, how many months it would last for those households, and also what other coping strategies those different wards have. And so we came up with the 9 wards that were enrolled in the LSA program. And then further, after we've come up with the wards, we then go down to the wards themselves at ward level, where we call a ward assembly meeting, where we expect to have a quorum of at least 80% of the ward attending the meeting. At this meeting, that is where we conduct our targeting and registration process using a WFP mechanism called SCOPE. It is an online registration platform that we utilize. We then use what we call village-based vulnerability indicators to select the people assisted who are going to be enrolled in the program. So it is the households themselves who select each other based on the indicators that they have provided to us, who are the facilitators of the registration and targeting process. So at the end of the day, we're looking at the chronic food insecure households, those who do not have anything to fall back on. We're not looking at and saying people that have beautiful houses that were built 10 years ago, they can still be food insecure because times change. So it is they themselves, the households in the various villages, in the various wards, who know exactly who is vulnerable and who is not. So that is why we use the community-based targeting mechanism to select households that are enrolled in the program.
So looking at really the process, especially the selection process, I've noted that in any selective process of selecting people to qualify for certain programs, there has always been a lot of corruption stories being flying around. So I wish you to tell us, to tell the viewers of this program, how as an organization you have managed to mitigate such stories if ever they are reaching your ears as an organization.
Yes, definitely that is the case in food security programs or any programs that have in-kind or cash distributions being conducted. We try to minimize inclusion and exclusion errors in our programming. And the first thing that we do is we triangulate between ourselves, who are the CP, the traditional leadership in the wards themselves, and also the DS office or the RDC office already have registers of those who are vulnerable. So that triangulation actually assists us a lot in being able to come up with the right targeted beneficiaries for the program. And also the community-based targeting mechanism itself, where the villagers or the households in the wards are the ones who rank themselves according to who's more vulnerable than the other. So in that case, we will also be trying to minimize the inclusion and exclusion errors. We also have feedback mechanisms that have been put forward by WFP that we use. We've got a help desk book where households could come in and inform us of people who are not supposed to be in the program, who have been enrolled, maybe due to favoritism by those who have been asked to come up with names at the ward assembly meeting. We also have a toll-free number where they can call in and air out their views about the registration and targeting system. We also have a suggestion box that we'll also have during the site of registration where these exclusion and inclusion errors can be noted. And during the duration of the LSA program, we have verifications that we conduct, household verifications, where we go to certain households to find out whether they're supposed to or not supposed to be in the program. So it's not something that we do once off, it's something that is ongoing. So you'll probably find that we could be informed, maybe through the toll-free, that there is a household which shouldn't be included for various reasons. And together with the World Food Program, we go onto the ground to go and assess the situation and see how best we can resolve those inclusion and exclusion errors. But also important and key is the triangulation that we have between the traditional leadership and the social services department.
Yeah. So having said that, maybe let me take you back a little. Earlier on, you said the registration process is conducted online, and looking at the situation, especially the digital divide situation in most developing countries, it's actually becoming a problem, especially with the online issues. Now, I wish you to tell us who does the online registration and how is it done so that those who are not schooled in terms of digital devices are also catered for.
Okay. What happens is when we go down to the ground for targeting and registration, um, initially we do a ranking process. Like I indicated earlier, that we call a ward assembly where we expect 80% of the village, of the ward to be present. After that, we split them into their various villages because we understand that people in the various villages know each other better than having the whole ward together. And then from there, we ask the village to rank themselves according to their the vulnerability indicators that they've given to us. Once they've been ranked together, we then take the percentage, like I indicated, the 47% is then taken and registered in an online system called Scope that was developed by WFP. So what happens now is every household that comes to the ward assembly should have source documents, birth certificates, IDs, etc., to verify that these are the number of people that reside in that household. So after we've taken the 47%, we then have our electronic gadgets that we use, tablets that we use to capture their information. But what is pleasing to note about the Scope on system is that once someone has been registered, they will be in that online system for as long as they are still alive. So at the following registration, it's just a matter of updating or maybe reducing the number of beneficiaries that are now in that household because we have already captured that beneficiary in the system. So we take the names, the date of birth as records that these people are actually there in the household, and so that information is captured by the Scope system, and then it's put into a Scope system server, and that is where it is stored and can be used for any other future programming.
So maybe looking also at the time that this program has run. So what are some of the challenges that the program has faced so far, and how have you been mitigating the challenges?
Yes, I think the initial program, that the problem or challenge that the program faced was, we were supposed to begin with cash transfers, because one of the objectives that we have, that WFP has together with its cooperating partners, is that they also want to support local business. So instead of us going to import maize from Zambia or from South Africa, we would rather give our beneficiaries cash, and then they could use that cash to buy their products from the local shops. But I think we all know what happened with the price regime in our country. Everything started going up, the escalation of prices. So, excuse me, that in the end defeated that objective that we had. So that was a challenge. But because WFP has got two transfer modalities, we then switched from the cash transfer modality to the in-kind transfer modality, where we're giving them cereal in the form of maize, pulses in the form of peas and vegetable oil. Another challenge, which is always a challenge, and we've discussed it at length at WFP cooperating partner meetings, is that of the inclusion and exclusion errors, where you find that there are some people who are enrolled in the program who should not be in the program. I'll give you an example of a situation where a household has got a family member who is working, say, as a teacher or a nurse. But during the registration process, you don't pick it up. So you end up having that inclusion error that a household has got someone who's gainfully employed but has been enrolled in the program. However, through our verifications, we normally get wind of that and we rectify the situation. So I think those are the two main challenges that we had with regards to the program. But overall, the program has been going on quite well.
So maybe you can say that you can perhaps go on to mention the successes that the LSA program has achieved so far.
I think that the biggest success that we've had with the LSA program, besides being able to alleviate food insecurity in the district, is we have conducted complementary livelihoods trainings during the duration of the program. So you'd find that we've been training the households enrolled in the program on items such as conservation agriculture, on horticultural production, nutrition and nutrition support, also issues to do with GBV and sexual exploitation, which you normally find in a setup where food distribution is taking place. I'm happy to report that after liaising with our colleagues at the Agri-Tech department, we found that small grain production in Umkuza district increased significantly. And maybe we could attribute that to the conservation agricultural techniques that we imparted to the people who were being assisted, and knowing our geographical location and the weather formations in our area, small grain production is actually key instead of the production of maize.
Maybe for the benefit of the viewers of this program who are actually farmers, maybe are residing in rural areas, you can as well outline some of those conservative agricultural techniques that you taught to the people of Umkuza, so that maybe someone will be willing to copy them and also apply them in their own situation.
Yes, I think it is key for our viewers, especially in the agroecological regions, region 4 and 5, to note that the production of maize has not been going on well over the years due to the climatic changes that have been occurring. So you'd find that the production of small grains such as sorghum, pearl and finger millet has been the go-to plants to grow during the agricultural season. But however, you still find that because of the limited amount of rain, we need to harvest that water. So water harvesting techniques are important. How do we harvest the water? In our small pieces of land, the digging of those shallow, I can say just shallow pits where water is stored is critical. Also, the use of the Gajompo method of agriculture is very much key. Dryland planting, and obviously the use of organic fertilizers, use of manure, and also the use of traditional methods to rid their plants of pests, such as the fall armyworm, which we continue to have during our agricultural season. So those are some of the techniques that we have passed on to our farmers there, who are our people assisted and are enrolled within our program.
So throughout your implementation of the LSA program in Umkuza district, what are some of the lessons as a program leader that you have learned that you wish to share with other organizations and also the viewers of this program concerning implementing such programs maybe in future?
I think the key lesson learned over the years where I've been the focal person for the LSA program is we always tend to want to assist when there is a need. The need is there, the assistance should come. We understand that, but we should not create that dependency syndrome that every year the LSA program is going to be rolled out and people are going to get maybe sufficient food for them to take them through the lean season. But we need to impart knowledge, resilience building mechanisms, climate change adaptation strategies to these communal areas, to these households. We understand that some of these households do not have, are labor constrained, because we all know that we have a lot of migration coming out of the country. The young people are going away. But there are so many other methods that can be used. For example, when I was working in Bulilima, I remember, during our complementary livelihoods training, we would encourage villages to form groups and go and work in each other's fields so that we bridge that gap between being labor constrained and having a good plant after the agricultural season. You never know, one day God will bless us and the rains will fall and people will be able to pick up bumper harvests. But I think from a WFP standpoint, they are coming up with the complementary livelihoods component. It has been critical for the LSA program. But again, it should not be us sitting here in the offices who are going to say, these are the activities that we're going to do for complementary livelihoods. But we need to seek from these people, from these communities, what is it that they require in their areas? What trainings do they need for them to be able to uplift themselves, to be able to be more resilient, for them to be able to cope against any shocks and any hazards that could come away? I think it is important. It has been a key lesson learned for us. And it actually builds a lot more sustainancy in these communities, because then now people will be able to not just look at agriculture as the main focus area, but look at other avenues that they could utilize to build resilience for their communities and households.
Oh, thank you so much for your time during this interview. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You were watching today's edition of the program Asakhe Online, a program that explores issues that are happening in our communities with regards to development, that is as far as education, agriculture, mining, human rights, and other developmentally related issues are concerned. Thank you very much for staying in touch with us. We are going to meet again in the next edition of the program Asakhe Online. Enjoy your day.